Willkommen, bienvenue, welcome to another one of my live streams. I'm joined in the virtual studio by the inimitable, often compared but never compromised, Vicky Poole of Tender Response. We've spoken many times about some of the benefits of public sector tendering, but there is potentially an offer for free money. What's it all about,
money?
Vicky?
I know. You kind of have to beat them away at the door with a stick.
That's what. Well, you're giving away sweets. So, so tell me all about it. Where's this free money come from?
So the free stuff that Gareth refers to is the Haribo Star Mix that I have in copious amounts at my house at the moment. And the free money which we're talking about today is, of course, public sector grants. So grants become available from local councils. Charities sometimes do money giveaways, and you also get a lot of national schemes as well. So if you've been impacted by flooding, which is something that a lot of us have been dipping our toes into waters, not necessarily outside our homes, but inside as well, then there are grants available at the moment to help you repair the damage to your homes. It's carpets, utilities, carpets, goods, anything along those lines. You get, anything from £500 to £2,000. You get those grants on a business side as well. So if your business is in a floodplain and you've been impacted by flooding, there are also grants available that can help you to make that area more usable, and also to put in flood defences so that you're not going to get flooded again in the future. And these are just some examples of some of the grants that are available. There are so many grants. Grants available to put solar panels on, grants available to put air source heat pumping in, grants available to update the energy efficiency of your building, up to and including solar like filters on windows to help keep your offices cool so you don't need to use aircon. Wow. So many grants.
So where do we start? How do we start? I mean, is it just a matter of turning up with a hat and saying, "Will you fill this hat for me? I really need some support." I suspect it's a bit more involved than that.
It is. So firstly, you've got to find the grant. You've got to know where it is. Right. So, and funnily enough, not all these grants are as easy to find as you might think they are.
One might even say they're a bit opaque. It's very difficult to find them unless you know where to look, right?
Yes, that's true. So here at Tender Response, we offer you a free grant finder. So you fill out a form. I'm not going to lie, the form's a bit arduous. It takes at least half a cup of tea to fill out the form. And then you'll have a chat with one of our colleagues here. They'll go through some of the options, and then you guys get a copy of the grants that we found. And these will be all of the grants. That's local schemes, national schemes. So here's a good one for you. If you live within, if you stick a pin in a services that's on a motorway, and you draw a pin in a circle, if you're within 500 meters of that motorway services, you're eligible for a grant from the services. I know. It's like random stuff. Yes. Now, the curio with grants is that your stock response for your business will never be exactly what you put into the grant response, because your grant will be for a specific thing.
Right.
So you might get grants for carpets. If your house is flooded out, you might have flooring. Right. But that might exclude anything that was on the floor. So you can't apply for sofas. You can't apply for a fish tank, coffee tables, footstools, game stations if they live on the floor. You can't apply. I know. You can't apply for any of those, but you can apply for carpets. So when you're applying and when you're writing your content, it all has to be relevant to the nature of the grant and what you're applying for. This is so when you're looking at charities and what charities do, it's very, very niche, and they're very, very good at doing this. Companies, there's lots of company grants out there, lots of company grants, and a lot of companies don't know where they are, so they don't know where to go for them.
Right.
So you've got like rural prosperity funds. There we go. Said it on the second attempt. Gareth will mock me later when we're chatting over dinner. And these are funds if you work out in an urban district, a rural district. These are grants in order to help you to support your business. So it could be things for paying for the installation of superfast broadband because you have auxiliary charges. There could be putting solar panels on. And again, when you're responding to those, it's I know this thing's going to cost me 40 grand. I'm going for a grant for £20,000. Here is the specific nugget that I would like funding for, but here's the overall picture. And you've got to be very specific with your language.
So specificity is very important, but there are plenty of grants for small business to support them, especially in these.
Absolutely.
Right.
So if you are a business that is less than 2 years old.
Right.
And this is 2 years being registered.
Right.
Then you can apply for new business startups. So you can apply for equipment, you can apply for software, you can apply for training. And some of these are significant values. So the craziest one I've seen is £10,000 for equipment and resources, which includes software, which ideally it would be like capital costs, because ongoing costs is very difficult to receive. That is like ongoing payments. So they do the capital charges. So yeah, wow. The craziest one I've seen is like several £1,000. So, and this doesn't exclude larger companies as well. So there seems to be a bit of a gap. If you are somewhere between 3 and 5 years into your operation, you kind of have to fend for yourself a little bit more. Sorry, guys and girls, and all people here present. But the second you're over 5 years, you then become eligible for medium business grants, which is updating and remediation of your property, which you'd like to think would be your landlord's responsibility, but it's not. It's yours.
Right. So hang on. So the sweet spot is what, 0 to 2 years?
Well, it depends. It depends on the grant that you're going for. It depends on the grant. If you are a new business startup, then yes, 0 to 2 years. If you're 18 months into your business startup, by all means, get those grants in now, because you could have new laptops, you could have a new phone, you could have the things that you need in order to run your business. If your business is a little bit older, then it could be things that you're going to need to support your business moving forward. Carbon eradication from your business. So removal of your own vehicles and then moving into a lease arrangement. You know, there could be some things to explore there, where you have so many days.
What about for older businesses that have things like asbestos? Is there any support for removal of asbestos?
So removal of asbestos is done mainly through local schemes. So if anyone's looking, if anyone has a listed building or a building from the 1970s that has large amounts of asbestos, drop me a line, admin@tenderresponse.co.uk, and one of the team will help you figure out your location and whether or not there are indeed any local schemes. So Louise runs that team. She'll be able to give you a hand.
All right. So, okay. So we've talked very briefly that there are grants out there to help you personally and business-wise. Is there a first stage that people can do, maybe by interacting with you, to get going on this?
So the first thing to do, if you found a grant, make sure you read it cover to cover. If you haven't found a grant and you need help in finding it, explore a grant finding service. So you can come to me. We've got one. So you find that on my website by going to services and then grant finder, and that'll take you through the process. Once you've gone through our process, you'll be given the list of grants, and it's then up to you and what you want to do with it. You can keep the grants and apply to those yourself. You can ask us to do it for you. We've got a dedicated grant writing team, which has rates that start from, I think it's £4.50 a day. So it's very cost effective for grants, and there's also special rates there available for charities and CICs. And then you go down that process. So we'll help you shape the response. What we won't do is help you produce all the content for the supplementary information, because that's information that you should have yourself. As a standard rule of thumb, always get 3 quotes.
Right.
Because that way you can demonstrate that it's an average.
Yeah.
Three quotes. Yeah, so there's a company that I'm helping at the moment write an application for solar panels and air source heat pumping for their premises. They are a company that installs air source heat pumping and solar panels. We've still sent them out for 3 quotes.
Right. Okay.
Well, no, it makes perfect sense. So I run Tender Response is a bid writing agency. Well, so we run a bid writing agency. We don't cover bids for every sector. So I know other agencies who are of a similar size with a similar feel who do that area, and I don't tread on their toes, and we cross refer. Similarly, the same is true for this company.
Okay.
So they've gone out and they've spoken to people who operate in different areas, who they know, who they're friends with, who potentially, I think this is true for them as well, they've even swapped members of staff when they were looking for training or looking for career progression, which I think is brilliant. So they've gone out and got 3 quotes, and we're going to be submitting their application to their local council this week, which is coming up at like £42,500, of which we're thinking that might be able to get somewhere in like mid-30s for them, which is fantastic, which covers all of the costs of their equipment.
That cover, is that renewable yearly, or what? How does it work as far as a grant? Or is it a one-off?
It's cost of the equipment. So grants cover OPEX, not OPEX, CAPEX. I always get that wrong. They cover the one-off charges. I know, I should get this right, shouldn't I?
CAPEX.
So they cover all of the big one-off charges. Anything ongoing, anything maintenance, that's down to the organization. Thank you, Gareth. Yes. I haven't had any coffee this morning.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yes. So the grants generally fund CAPEX, and you have to fund the OPEX yourself. So whether it's solar panels and air source heat pumping, cavity wall installation, whether it's software, capital purchase, laptops, phones, anything along those lines, it's all physical activity. Good. Now, if you were to be installing, say, flood protection on your office so that you can remain open, very, very useful for anyone who works in like the automotive trades. So whether you're a tire fitter or you have like a big warehouse that you need to store equipment in, if that floods, you lose the equipment. So if you're able to protect it with flood defenses, you can stay open and you can have your money, blah, 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 blah. So grants cover the delivery of the one-off purchase price and also the installation of those materials by a qualified tradesperson.
Shall I draw everyone's attention to the extra resources that you have at hand?
By all means, you can. There is nothing in there for grants because grants are so specific that it's very difficult in order to be able to pull together some resources for them. So if anyone's checking us out, tenderresponse.co.uk/resources, this is where you can go for all of our resources on responding to bids and tenders, and including in there a little bit of a checklist and also information there that might be relevant to you for cybersecurity. There will be something new going up there very shortly to do with carbon reduction. So there's a carbon reduction plan up there, but there's going to be some carbon reduction advice going up there soon as well.
But also, let's not forget the hotline. If you need to get some instant information, or relatively instant, WhatsApp this number, 07896 909 776.
Correct.
I always call that number whenever I have problems to do with my tenders. And Vicky and her team will be pleased to steer you in the right direction. Remember, they have a number of services, from finding you the tenders, getting you on the frameworks, all the way through to proofreading, and even helping at the kickoff meeting to make sure everybody knows what they're supposed to be bloody doing.
It's like Gareth and I have known each other for years. I should employ him. He does that so beautifully.
I only met her in the playground the other week. guys, I hope you're getting from this that Vicky is passionate about making sure people get a very fair crack of the whip, whether it be through finding the right free money, as we termed it, through grants, or whether it's getting hold of another form of free money, which for a tender, you've got income for 2 or 3 years potentially, and it can be brilliant. It pay for your bread and butter outgoings and ensure the ongoing flourishing of your business. Either way, I would get in contact with Vicky Poole to find out more. As you see, the resources are underneath. Remember, tenderresponse.co.uk, if you just go to the site, has also got the grant information directly on there as well. Vicky, do you want to do any last quick summary before we close this up?
Yeah, of course. So grants, there's oodles and oodles of grants out there, and they're usually hidden under rocks in like links that don't have a lot of SEO on them. So you kind of have to know where they are in order to be able to find them, to apply for them. If you're getting lost or stuck, or you just quite simply want to know if there are any grants out there that you may be available for and eligible for, hit me up with a message. You can either come to me directly, or you can click through on our website, the form, and a member of the team will be in touch. It doesn't cost anything to have a search, and then once you've got your search, that's yours. So then you know all of the eligible grants that you are able to respond to, and that's yours. That's my gift to you.
Duncan, who I only met recently, thank you very much. As someone who's done practice in the past, it's not an experience like Trippy. No, and Duncan, may I say, when Vicky and her team get behind you, it feels a lot like you can sleep better at night. So yes, I would recommend, Duncan, you and Vicky have a chat at some point in the future. May I thank everybody? We got a lot of thumbs up and stuff like that, and I saw quite a few watchers coming on and off. Thank you, everyone who watches. We've been live streaming for a couple of years now, at least. Feels like a lot longer. And dare I say it, thank you for the ongoing support. People do say, "Oh, that tender woman." I know, and also some people who've been watching this have even turned into clients. What I would say is that you're never here for just the short term. You need to think strategically. Being part of a successful tender can be a very strong part of that strategic thinking. But either way, I wish all of you a wonderful rest of the week, it being hump day, and of course, fantastic mental health. Goodbye all.